Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. I want to thank you for taking the time. I know this is Sunday. You could have been doing so many other things. You could have been playing, you could have been watching a movie, watching the internet, doing some assignments for tomorrow. But Allah opened your heart to be here, and I want to tell you, you want to absorb everything you get because this is the Quran, this is the word of Allah. We all love Allah, and that's why we are here to study His word, to learn it, and to apply it, and to share it with others. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. Last time we finished with ayah number 245, in which we spoke about who is going to give a good loan to Allah. You remember? Right? And we spoke about good loans, and Allah would multiply it for him. Right? And Allah is the one who gives and keeps as He wishes. Now, tonight, we are going to start a new part which will take us in an extended journey of some events that happened during the life of one of the prophets of the children of Israel. So, ayah number 246. ألم تر إلى الملأ من بني إسرائيل من بعد موسى إذ قالوا لنبي له مبعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله. Have you not seen to the crowd, the elite crowd, the high class crowd among the children of Israel after Moses, when they told their prophet, send us a king so that we can fight back against our enemies? Then he said, هل عسيتم إن كتب عليكم القتال ألا تقاتلوا? Would you not fight if fighting has been prescribed for you, imposed on you, forced on you? Would you not fight? They said, وما لنا لا نقاتل في سبيل الله وقد أخرجنا من ديارنا وأبنائنا. And why wouldn't we fight for the sake of Allah, in the path of Allah, and in defense of our own hometowns, our own houses, our own children? Why? Then the ayah says, فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالِ تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ. When real fighting was forced on them, they were afraid. So some of them went forward and pushed back against the enemy, and the majority did not. So the few are the ones who stood up to defend their community, their country, and their faith. And the ayah concludes by saying, Allah knows who are the wrongdoers. So what do we learn from this ayah? This ayah is telling us a story. The story is, it happened after Moses. You know Prophet Moses? He is the major prophet that was sent to the children of Israel to save them from the enslavement of Pharaoh in Egypt and to be set free so that they would worship Allah, they would love Allah, and they would be free to do whatever they want without coercion, without oppression. So a prophet after Moses came to them, and the enemies started to attack them. So this prophet, when they knew that there is an impending attack, an imminent attack, a close-by attack, they went to him and said, send us a king. We need just a powerful leader to lead us and push back against our enemies. He said, would you not fight if fighting has been forced on you? Would you not defend your community? Would you not defend your town? They said, of course we would. Why wouldn't we fight in defense of our town and our houses and our children? But when the fighting really started, very few of them are the ones who stood up and pushed back against the enemies, and the rest, they were afraid for their life and they fled away. So this is a story. In this story, you realize, number one, Allah does not name the Prophet, right? Allah does not name the exact place where it happened. Allah only named the community as the children of Israel. So what does it mean? It means that these informations that Allah did not spell out for us are not important. They are not relevant to the lessons we need to learn from the story. Okay? So when He tells us that this is a community within the children of Israel community and that it happened after Moses, it is to give us a context of time and the nature of the community. Okay? And what else do we learn from this? We learn from this that people, when they are under pressure, they make lavish promises. Of course, we will fight. We are men. We can stand for it. But when the real fight comes on, the vast majority of people do not really stand the challenge. They don't. So the lesson here is, when a nation is under attack, everybody who is capable of pushing back against the enemy, we should all get together and push back against the enemies. This is clear, right? Okay. What else? Another lesson, do not make a promise that is beyond your means or a promise that you are not willing to keep. Don't make a promise that is beyond your means, above your capacity, or a promise that you're not planning to keep. That's also another lesson. The third lesson is, not everybody in the community is reliable at difficult times. At difficult times, only few from the large community will stand up, whether it is for donation, for service, for volunteering. So when we see somebody working to serve the community, those are the few, and we should be grateful for them. We should appreciate people who volunteer to stand on behalf of the community. Another lesson, the last part of the ayah, it says, Wallahu alimun bil-zalimin. Allah knows well those wrongdoers. Referring to whom here? Allah is referring to the group that promised to stand up and fight back, and they did not. So Allah doesn't like those who wrong themselves or wrong others or else wrong the community. So their prophet tell them that Allah has chosen for you a king by the name Talut. Inna Allah qad ba'atha lakum Taluta malika. They asked for a king, a leader to lead them in the war against their enemy. And here is their prophet telling them that they have got the answer from Allah. Who's our king? Talut. Okay. Now they should accept, because Allah answered their request. They should accept. But instead, unfortunately, they started to challenge Allah's choice. They asked their prophet, saying, how come he is the king when he is not the richest one amongst us, and we deserve the leadership more than he does? So competition and shaitan came into their heads, and they started to refute the appointment of Allah for Talut as a leader and a king. And when they made that statement, that we deserve the leadership more than he does, that we have more money than he does, their prophet answered them. And he said, Allah chose him from amongst you to be above you, to be your leader. Inna Allah astafahu alaykum. Allah is the one who appointed him and chosen him above you. وَزَادَهُ بَسْطَةً فِي الْعِلْمِ وَالْجِسْمِ. And Allah has given him good body and great knowledge. So leaders need to have two qualities: that they are strong enough to stand for the leadership responsibilities, and they are knowledgeable enough to lead the community in the right direction, not in the wrong direction. So not every leader has the qualities. But the objection of the children of Israel in this example, they were wrong. Why were they wrong? Because they looked at this as a competition. Who deserves the leadership more? So they wanted their prophet to choose one of them. Well, he chose one of them, but now it is Talut, and they think that Talut is not rich enough and he doesn't deserve leadership. So the answer came from their prophet. Allah has chosen him and has given him stronger body and more knowledge. So these are the qualities that are needed for military leadership. You need people who are strong. You need people who are knowledgeable. And then he gives them the lesson. وَاللَّهُ يُؤْتِي مُلْكَهُ مَن يَشَاءُ. Allah assigns and appoints people to leadership, to kingdom, and to ruling and governance, the ones He wills. It is a choice from Allah. Do we want to challenge Allah? When Allah decides something, do we want to challenge Him? Should we challenge Him, or should we accept His decision? Right? So the lesson here is, if Allah told us what we need to do what? Follow or challenge? We need to obey. When we listen to Allah, we obey Allah. Jazakumullah khair. So it goes on, next ayah number 248. And their prophet told them that the sign of his appointment as a king is that the casket or the box of treasures from the days of Moses will be brought to you with everything in it, carried by the angels. The angels are going to bring the casket, that was the box in which the treasures left by Moses and Aaron, will be brought to you by the angels. What else would a sign be more than this? So it is a very strong sign, because they were looking for that for years. They couldn't find it. So when Allah brings it from the heaps of time and history, they should accept Allah's choice. They should accept that this is a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine if you have treasures, your ancestors, your great grandparents left you something, and then you don't know, you've been searching for it, you've never known what it is, but then Allah, out of the blue, He brought it to you in the same box with all the treasures of your ancestors, and it is carried by the angels, which means literally it comes flying in the air, because angels could not be visible. Okay? And then He told them, this indeed is a real sign for you if you truly believe in Allah. Then they followed, they were forced to follow Talut, the new leader. And when this new leader marched with the army, most probably through Jordan River, in this area, in Jordan, and he made a test. He told his soldiers, listen, we have been traveling in the desert for a long time. So those of you who would cross the river without drinking except one handful of water, then they are not of me. Meaning, they are not going to stand the trouble of war and fighting. They are not going to be patient enough. So the test is, if they cannot stand thirsty, they are not going to stand bloodshed. So he said, let us cross the river together. The enemies are on the other side. And when they crossed the river, most of them drank until they filled their stomach, because they were very thirsty. But only a few followed the direction of the leader, which is they got only one handful drink of water, and that was it. He didn't want to kill them, but he didn't want them to fill up their stomach with water, because you become very heavy. When you drink a lot, you cannot move a lot. And fighting requires body and agility and motion, right? You cannot struggle or wrestle if your stomach is full. So they all drank except a very few. So those few are the ones who crossed the river successfully and passed the test. So those are the leftover from the large army that continued with Talut. When they crossed the river, he and the soldiers with him, they said, looking at the army on the other side, they said, we have no power to stand against the power of the other side. Goliath was on the other side with his people, his army, and they were very strong. So the believers found themselves to be few, and even those who passed the test of thirsty, they could not. So they said, we have no power, we cannot stand them. Then among them is a group that says, listen, we are all going to fight, because it is not about number, it is not about equipment, it is about our faith. So those who believed in the day of judgment, that they are meeting Allah, they said, how many times did it happen that the few have defeated the many by the will of Allah? And Allah stands to support those who are patient. So what is the point here? The point here is, after they crossed the river, and only a few did not drink much, they only took a handful of water, they were shocked to see the big army of Goliath. So they said, we cannot fight those. So a few from the few said, no, we will fight, we will stand, we are not going to let them slaughter us for free. We are not going to die without defending our community. So they stood up and they said, their motto is, كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله. How many few have defeated the many by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means it has happened so many times. The battle is those people fighting Allah and His Prophet. We are going to stand with Allah and His Prophet. Allah will stand of us and we will win. This is their faith, and this is the faith of the Muslims. In Islamic history, Muslims never defeated their enemies because Muslims were greater in number, or greater in equipment, or greater in training. They were always fewer than their enemies, less equipped than their enemies, but they were always victorious, except in positions and battles when the crack came from within the side of the Muslim community, when they disputed matters. So as they promised to go on and fight back and defend the faith and the community, when they faced up to the Goliath and his army, what do they say? They say, رَبَّنَا أَفْرِغْ عَلَيْنَا صَبْرًا. O Allah, shower us from your side with patience. They needed to be supported by Allah by showering them with patience. O Allah, shower us with patience and strengthen our feet and steadfasten our feet so that they would stand and not run away and not flee. وَانْصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ, and support us against those who are disbelievers. Who do you think will win? The believers or the disbelievers?
Believers.
The believers. Very good. So, فَهَزَمُوهُمْ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. Why do you think the believers won? Because Allah is always with the believers, whether they are few or they are many, whether they are better equipped or not better equipped. But one condition, they have to be believers and they have to prepare all the power needed to fight back. One third condition, they should never initiate aggression. Muslims should never initiate aggression. They should always be ready to defend themselves, but they should never attack others and initiate the fight. Okay? And even during the fight, they should never attack a peaceful passerby. Somebody who's not in the fight, leave them alone. A woman, leave her alone. A child, leave him alone. But those who are carrying weapons and fighting to kill you, the Quran gives you the license to fight back and defend your nation, your community, and your faith. So they defeated them by the will of Allah. And David, a young soldier at that time, Prophet Dawood, was still a young soldier in the Muslim side, of course. He initiated or created some new tool, and he took some heavy stone and he put it in his swing, and he swung it, and he hit Goliath in his head. And Goliath, the big guy, the big disbeliever, the leader of his community and army who were attacking the Muslims, he was dead. He was killed. Okay? So David killed Goliath, and Allah gave David the dominion, the power, the control, and the kingship, right? And wisdom and knowledge. وَآتَاهُ اللَّهُ الْمُلْكَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ وَعَلَّمَهُ مِمَّا يَشَاءُ. Allah taught him whatever Allah willed to taught him. وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسِ. This is the lesson now. وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضِ. If it were not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pushing people against each other, corruption would have spread on earth. Imagine if the communist bloc, the Soviet Union, was not fought by the Western Alliance, right? And everybody would turn what? Would turn communist, right? Because they would be defeated if they don't push back. The world is at war with each other over ideas, principles, and beliefs and resources. And we Muslims would never be allowed by Islam to fight to get somebody's resources. Let us say Muslims don't have oil. Are we allowed to fight to steal somebody's oil? We are not. Okay, let us say Muslims don't have enough water. Are we allowed to fight somebody to get their water, to steal their water? No, we are not. Right? So let us say Muslims don't have vegetables or fruits or whatever resources. Are we allowed to fight to steal it from anybody? No. But if we have any of that, and anybody attacks a Muslim nation or state or community to take the resources, are we supposed to fight back or are we not? Fight back, because we have to defend our rights, right? But as we told you last time, are we supposed to fight each other back? No, we are not. Are we supposed to fight our friends who are with us in school? No. No, we're not. So if somebody attacked us in school, what should we do? Tell the teacher. Speak to the teachers, right? Speak to the authorities in the school, people in charge. If the teacher didn't care, go to the principal. If the principal didn't care, go to your parents, right? So when we talk about fighting, we talk about community against community, nation against nation, not individual people against each other. Clear? Okay. So what is the rule here that we learn? وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضِ. This rule is called سُنَّةُ التَّدَافُعِ, the rule of pushing and pushing back. People are always going to struggle over where truth is, where the rights are, what is mine and what's yours. Allah set limits. He provides whom He wills with whatever He wills. Our role is to be kind, and if Allah gives us more, Should we share it or should we not?
Share it.
We should share it. If Allah gives us less, should we steal what we need or should we bargain and buy it?
Bargain and buy it.
So this is the way to get what we want. Okay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes that lesson, ayah number 252, and He says, these are the ayat of Allah. Do you know what ayat means? Ayat means what?
So,
Yes, it is the words of Allah that Allah has told us about that story, right? He says, Tilka ayatullah, these are the verses coming to you from Allah. Natluha alayka bilhaq. Natluha means we recite it. Alayka, unto you. Who is this you? Whom is Allah talking to? To the Prophet. And who is behind the Prophet? Who are the followers of the Prophet? The believers, us, the Muslims. Right? So Allah is reciting these ayat for us in truth, bilhaq. Right? وَإِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. You, Muhammad, are one of the messengers that we have sent. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was being told that story so that we, the Muslim community, benefit from the lessons, the lesson of persistence, the lesson of courage, the lessons of bravery, the lessons of defending your right, the lessons of not weakening in front of your enemies, the lessons of not committing aggression against peaceful people. All of these are lessons in that story. Any question about this? Should I bring it back to you here? So this is the beginning of the story. You could read it. Could you see the screen and read?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead and read it. When you're done, say done. Okay. Anybody else is done? Thank you. Anybody else is done? Huh? Done, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Anyone else? Okay, let's go to the second ayah here. Let us see if you could read this one. When you finish, tell us done. Yes.
And the prophet.
Just a second, let us hear. Muhammad is asking, please.
Assalamu alaikum. It says, and their prophet, parentheses, it's Samuel. Who's Samuel?
This is copied from the people of the book, from the Old Testament, right? Because the story is told in the old scripture that is known as the Old Testament. Thank you, Ibrahim. So there they named the prophet for whom we don't have a name in the Quran, right? And I want to thank you for raising this question. So Samuel is the prophet's name in the Old Testament. Now, if a prophet is named in the Old Testament and he's not named in the Quran, should we accept that this is his name or should we reject that this is his name? Why should we reject it?
Because it's not in the Quran, it might not be true.
Well, it might not be true is the key. If we are not told the name, we should neither reject it or accept it.
Accept it.
No, we should neither accept it or reject it.
Oh, neither.
Neither, yes. We should not accept it, we should not reject it. Okay? Okay? Does this answer your question? Very.
Why are you using it as a definition for the ayah?
Well, the translator copied the name from the Old Testament
I don't get it.
because the story is told in the Old Testament, and in the Old Testament the prophet is not without name, it has a name. So he thought to copy it as is. Okay?
Who is Samuel now?
He is one of the Old Testament prophets, one of the prophets of the children of Israel.
Ah,
The Quran has 25 names of 25 prophets. Those are the prophets we are required to believe in them by name because they are mentioned by name in the Quran. But Allah tells Prophet Muhammad in the Quran, some of those prophets we have told you about and some of them we have not. منهم من قصصنا عليك ومنهم من لم نقصص عليك. Some of them we have told you their names and some we have not told you their names. Which means there is a room that there are other prophets other than and beyond the 25 names we got in the Quran. So the Quran does not deny the fact that there are other prophets, but it only requires us to believe in those that are mentioned by name. But others that are not mentioned by name, can we deny them? No, we cannot. Can we accept them by name? No, we cannot. Right? So we have to take a neutral position, which means we do not say, no, he is not a prophet, because we don't have information to say he is not. Nor can we say, yes, he is a prophet, because he is not mentioned in our book. Clear? Very good. Okay, very good question, Muhammad. Thank you. Okay, any other question? Everybody's done? Should we move? Okay, let us move on. This is verse number 248. When you read and finish, say done. Could you all see the screen clearly? We should turn the lights off? Okay, go ahead, turn the lights off. That's okay, Omar. Thank you. Leave it. So, could everybody see it and read it?
Yes.
Okay, tell me if you have a question. Anybody has a question? Okay, we should move? Okay. So, this is ayah number 249. Could you see it? Do you get the point in the last two lines? Here, where it says, but those who knew with certainty that they were to meet their Lord said, how often a small group overcame a mighty host by Allah's leave, by the permission of Allah. Huh? Do you understand it? Okay. You know when they crossed the river and the leader told them, those who drink and fill their stomach, they are not of me, but those who drink one handful of water or so, they are of me, they will follow me, they will be fighting with me, right? And then those who believed and passed that test, right? When they saw the other army, they said, this is too much, we're not going to fight. But the believers...
Now I understand.
Now you understand, now you remember. Okay, so tell us what you understand.
I understand the part that you read. The part that you read.
Tell us what you understand so that everybody would remember like you. And the believers who believed they are going to meet Allah, they said what? How many few people defeated the many and the more powerful group and defeated them by the will of Allah? What is it that you don't know?
How much people did?
The few defeated the many. The small group defeated the larger group by the will of Allah. Do you know what by the will of Allah means? Yes. So the lesson is, the few should not fear the many. The small group should not fear the large group. Okay, you understood now, Ibrahim? Yes. Anybody has a question on this? Okay. Then, ayah number 250, could you see it? And when they advanced to meet Goliath and his forces, they invoked, our Lord, pour forth on us patience and make us victorious over the disbelieving people. Is this clear?
Yes.
Anybody has a question? Huh? Done reading? Okay. Anybody has a question?
I'm done reading.
Okay, thank you, Muhammad. Thank you, honey. Thank you. So, 251, what happened at the end? So they routed them by the will of Allah. They routed them means they defeated them completely, right? And Allah gave David the power, the dominion, the kingdom, and the leadership, and the knowledge and the wisdom. He appointed him the leader. Dawood became both the king of Israel and the children of Israel, and he also became a prophet assigned by God. You know Prophet David in Arabic is? Dawood. Jazakumullah khair. Jazakumullah khair. So Prophet Dawood, who was young at the time, thank you. Thank you. So he became the leader of the children of Israel community. Okay? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the lesson. If it were not for Allah pushing people by each other, corruption and mischief would have spread on earth. Let us apply this in real life. When I see somebody doing something wrong, what do I need to do? Try to guide them to stop, right? And if they don't listen, what do I need to do? Talk to the person in charge. If this is my brother, I talk to my parents. If this is my classmate, I talk to the teacher. If this is a friend in the street, I talk to their parents, right? Because I want the best for everybody. So guiding people to do the right thing is part of our faith as Muslims, okay? So when you push back against what is wrong, you are doing the will of Allah. And when somebody is trying to get you to do what is wrong, what should you do? Should you listen to them?
Disobey.
You should not listen to them. You should not do what they are pushing you to do. In fact, you should push back against what is wrong. Okay? So this is what this rule here is about. Okay? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ayah 252, تِلْكَ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ نَتْلُوهَا عَلَيْكَ بِالْحَقِّ. These are the revelations, the ayat, the verses, the words of Allah that we recite unto you, O Muhammad, talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَإِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Most certainly, you are one of the messengers. Okay? Anyone has any question? Here, ayah number 253, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, تِلْكَ الرُّسُلُ فَضَّلْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Those messengers, we have some more bounties given to some more than others. فَضَّلْنَا means Allah gave some of them some miracles that He did not give others, and He gave others some miracles that He did not give those first group. So Allah supports His messengers with miracles. For example, we have Musa. Do you know anyone what are the miracles Allah gave Musa alayhi salam?
His staff.
Huh?
His staff.
His staff, right? So his stick, right?
His sub.
And what?
His sub. Sub, yeah, that.
Sabr.
Yeah.
Okay. All prophets are given sabr. Yes, sister. Go ahead. Yes.
The stick that turned to a snake.
Yes, that stick that turned into a snake. What else? What else did he do with the stick? Yes.
It ate 3 snakes from him.
Yeah, the stick ate the snakes that were made by the sticks of the magicians. Very good. Thank you. What else? At the end? The hand. Yes. Thank you. His hands were cleared, and it is one of the miracles. What else?
It opened the sea.
Very good. He hit the sea with the stick, and the sea was opened into two huge mountains of water. What else did he do with the stick? He did one thing more with the stick. Anyone knows? Yes. Yes, who said he hit the rock? Thank you. He hit the rock in the desert with the stick, and 12 springs gushed out in the middle of the desert. What else?
He talked to Allah.
He talked to Allah. MashaAllah, very good. He talked to Allah. So Moses was given several miracles related to the stick, right? And a couple of miracles talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And what did Musa ask Allah? That Allah told him, you're not going to have it. I'm not going to do this.
His tongue.
Huh?
His tongue.
No, he did this. Yes, Allah resolved the impediment in his tongue. He had difficulty speaking, but before he went to Pharaoh, he asked Allah to remove the difficulties in his tongue, and they were removed. Right? What did he ask Allah? In which case Allah told him, no, you're not going to be able to do this. MashaAllah, takbir. Did you hear what she said? He asked Allah to enable him to see Allah directly, right? And Allah told him, you're not going to be able to do this, right? Instead, what did he show him?
The tree, the fire, the tree on the fire.
No. I'm talking about this one. So Allah told him, you're not going to be able to see me, but look at the mountain. If the mountain stays still, right, then you will see me. And Moses looked at the mountain. What happened to the mountain? The mountain was crushed. When Allah revealed himself to the mountain was crushed because of the power of Allah. Right? So Moses could not see Allah because he would have been crushed. If the mountain got crushed, right, then Moses would have been crushed. So when the mountain crushed, Moses fainted. And after he came back to conscience, he repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he told Allah, I ask your forgiveness. Please accept my repentance. Inni tubtu ilayk. Right? So, very good. So those are miracles Allah has given to Musa, right? Do we know what miracles Allah has given to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Before Prophet Muhammad, there's one prophet in the middle. Who is this? Between Moses and Muhammad is Isa. What miracles Allah gave Isa? Huh? To cure the people, to cure the sick and the leopard, right? To give shifa by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What else? Allah supported him with the Holy Spirit. What else? He revived the dead. That is very good. What else? Huh? He spoke when he was a baby, right? Very good. What else? So Isa alayhi salam spoke as he was a baby. Yes.
He made a blind guy see again.
Yes, he cured the blind. Very good. By the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We always have to say by the will of Allah. Yes.
He didn't have a father.
He did not have a father. He was created and born miraculously. Very good. What else? He made from mud the shape of birds, right? And he blew into them and they flew by the will of Allah. They became birds, right? So Isa alayhi salam had miracles and Musa alayhi salam had miracles. Are those miracles one and the same? So here is where Allah says that we have given those prophets certain qualities and abilities and skills and bounties and powers that we have not given others. So every prophet has got some blessings from Allah. For what? What are those miracles used for? They are used to prove that those people are supported by Allah. So what makes us believe in a prophet is if he brings evidence from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the biggest miracle for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam? The Quran, mashallah. The biggest miracle Allah gave Prophet Muhammad is the Quran, right? All other miracles that were given to all other prophets were material miracles that were used for their time. After their time, they are not available, right? Moses and Isa alayhi salam, they are not here to do any miracles anymore, right? But the Quran is a miracle until the day of judgment. Why is the Quran an eternal miracle until the day of judgment? Why does the Quran outlast? Yes, Muhammad. I will come to you. Yes. Because the Quran is always going to be there, right? But what is in the Quran that makes it like a standing miracle all the time? The words of Allah. What in the words of Allah are the things that prove that these are miracles? Yes. It guides people. The guidance itself is a miracle because Allah gives us laws for our lives that can outlive generations after generations. Thank you. What else? It has all the evidence. What else? Muhammad, you were saying something? So what is in the Quran? What is in the Quran are miracles that we knew and miracles that we don't know yet. We will continue to discover miracles in the Quran. And one day we can talk about this issue because tonight we're almost done. Any question for us tonight?
I just, somebody made a comment to me the other day that they said that Harun is not a prophet, even though Harun is mentioned in the Quran as one of the 25 prophets.
Yes.
Is there, I mean, I don't know, I didn't want to argue with the person, but I just let it go.
No, don't let it go because he raises an issue that concerns real subject and we owe it to those people that we clarify the answer for them. So if you go to Surah Taha, which we explained on Friday, you will find Moses and Aaron are sent by Allah to go to Fir'aun and to carry a specific message. In the beginning of the message, فَقُولَ إِنَّا we both رَسُولَ both are messengers from Allah, right? From your Lord. So, the Quran lists him as a Rasul. Okay? What else? Do you have a question, Mama?
She's shy, but she wants to know what is Goliath.
Goliath is the leader of the enemy of the disbelievers. Okay? Yes.
Can kids start Salah?
Which age should we start Salah? We should start Salah as soon as we are able to understand what Salah is. So some people understand this early in life, some people are a little bit late, but we should start real serious training to do Salah at the age of 7. Oh, okay. So let us go. Thank you very much. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.